Hey guys, it's Cyril here, and today I'm going to be showing you how I make this owl drawing, and using color and marker layering techniques to kind of just make it a little bit more interesting. I'm starting off with lighter color markers like yellow or blue. You kind of already see the yellow marker underneath, and I just kind of start sketching with it to kind of see where everything will fit on the page. And in the original reference, it's only one owl, but I was like, you know what, I kind of want to make a cute owl couple or something. I don't know, maybe they're just besties, maybe they're roomies or something. I have no idea, but I wanted to add two of them because I thought it would be kind of cute. So I went ahead and pulled up like another reference. So I was trying to kind of meld the two images together in my brain while I was like doing this study. And I honestly really like drawing birds. I think birds are just like so beautiful, and I just love drawing wings. So I definitely think I'm very drawn to drawing things with wings or just birds in general. So definitely this is something a little bit more in my comfort zone, but I wanted to just, try to do something from an image rather than just like coming up with it in my brain. And in one of the images that I used for reference, there is like a windowsill and it's like on like the frame of it. So that's kind of what the background is, where they're kind of just sitting there together on this like window frame. And in both images as well, it's kind of a darker color palette, but I kind of wanted to mess around with the color palette because the owls in the picture don't really have a lot of color going on with them. But of course, I want to make it a little bit more interesting, so I'm kind of playing around with the colors that I have. And this kind of like messing around with color is kind of what developed my art style, because prior to, I probably around 2-3 years ago, maybe even 4, I don't even know, but I was so terrified of using color because I just didn't understand it, and I always felt like all the colors I would always use would like kind of end up being kind of flat, or like it just felt so out of my comfort zone to kind of push myself to use like other colors, especially when I'm studying or using a reference. In my head, I kind of just like only want to use whatever is shown on the picture, and I don't really think about how colors like interact with each other necessarily. And like, because sometimes like the picture I use is just like a picture taken on like my phone camera or something, and there's not really anything going on, like there's not like any crazy shadows, so it's just like a very boring picture, to like put very bluntly. And sometimes it can be nice to translate that onto like paper, and sometimes it just feels a little boring or flat just to completely just copy it, I guess, or just use that as a study by itself, which I want to clarify, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but I started to get a little bored, and I feel like I kept doing that over and over and over, even though I was like, I probably should have started delving more into color, but because I was so used to just copying it only from the reference image, I became very used to only doing that. And so whenever I'd see like painters or people who do like illustration online, I was always so taken aback at how well they knew like color theory and how their drawings just look so fresh with the color palette that they chose. But I just like didn't really understand how they got there, but everything is trial and error. So like in this particular drawing, the image that I'm using, it's straight up just owls at night with flash, and there's just a little bit of brown and ivory from the owl themselves, but almost no color. And for me, I realized that I actually really like color a lot, even though I was so intimidated by it before. Now I'm like, I want to add color mix. It feels more interesting to me, and that's just like more of my style now, I would say, is that color and layering and everything. It's so nice. But I decided to go with red for the line art instead of just going in with like gray or something more of like a neutral color that would match more to what the picture was. And it'll make such a difference to use a different color rather than the colors that are in the reference. I think like making it a little bit more exaggerated just makes it more fun. And I actually recently took a class by Chuenji, who worked on Into the Spider-Verse. I'm not finished with the class. It's kind of like at your own pace, and I've just been so busy, but that class definitely also helped me with learning how to push color, because the first thing that you do in the process that she kind of explains, you make the flats, which is like the most neutral tone of whatever the object is, and then you go back over it and you add shadows and you push the colors that are in the picture so there is more depth, and then it can even change the mood of the drawing completely. So I'm choosing more warm tone colors. It gives off more of like a cozier vibe in comparison to if I'd only used blue tones. And I kind of added that at the beginning of drawing the background just so it could kind of peek out from underneath like the rest of the layering that I was gonna do. For the shadows, instead of just going with gray tones, I layered the yellow and then again like went on top of it with like another color just to kind of add more depth. And in this part, I'm doing like hatch marks for the shading. I alternate between using the thicker part of the marker to do bigger chunks of shading versus kind of blocking in smaller parts with like the hatch marks. And I don't necessarily have like a reason for doing this other than I just think it looks nicer. I don't like too many hatch marks because then it just looks too much to me. And then for using the bigger marker, the wider marker, I feel like at times it looks too blended. I don't know. I got a mix between the two. And in this area, I just decided to go in with gray just to kind of neutralize the colors a little bit because I felt like the orange was a little too strong than what I kind of wanted it to be. And I feel like layering the gray on top of the orange definitely helped a lot because I feel like it was way too bright, but the gray kind of just like brought it down a little bit. And now I started kind of working on the background, and honestly I didn't really know where I was going with this because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go along with the reference image because it was at nighttime, and so I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that or daytime or just do something completely different, but I ended up just going with the sort of more evening time in the background. So I just went ahead and colored over it with brown, and with the blue peeking underneath, I kind of wanted to do something similar with like an underpainting, so the blue is kind of peeking out. Then I just went ahead and started using a darker brown to kind of make the line art. I think it was getting a little late when I was drawing this. I was at a cafe again, so I was like, you know what, I think it'll make it easier just so I know where everything is like falling. And I also feel like all the colors were just blurring into one another, and it just was a little confusing for me, honestly. So I was like, you know what, to make it a little easier, I'll just go ahead and define the lines. And I also wanted to emphasize the shadows too, because I think whenever I don't really know where the shadows are going, I feel like it just kind of confuses me. I'm like, there's just too many things going on. So that's another reason why I just ended up doing that, because then I can still layer it over with other markers too. But I honestly think this particular decision depends on my mood and how willing I am and okay I am with having darker line art. In the last video I did with like the mushrooms, I didn't really add any line art at all that's like super dark in comparison to the rest of the piece because it just looked nicer that way, but sometimes I just go ahead and use like a darker marker. I definitely did start struggling with how I was going to continue coloring this because I was having an inner crisis on whether or not I should continue making it look like the reference or if I should just do my own thing. I feel like that sometimes happens when I am doing studies where there's a part where it's like, oh, it looks so different from the reference that it's wrong. It's just like completely wrong, which is really strange. I don't know if that happens to anyone, but it's just like my brain is just like, that's not correct. But I just was like, it's fine, like it looks nice and I'm having fun with it, so I'm just trying to like not think about it because I'm trying to make it my own thing rather than just doing whatever the reference says. And who says that you have to make it completely similar? I don't know. I create rules for myself that don't really need to be there, but I don't know. But overall, I think around this time I started to become I feel a lot better about where this was going. I think adding in the blue again definitely made the colors pop a little bit more, just because I feel like if it was just the warm tones and like the oranges, it kind of started to look really muddy to me. But with the blue, it definitely kind of broke up that color a little bit. In the background, again, it just felt a little plain to me, and I didn't really have a white pen, so I decided to just use blue to kind of layer some textures into the sky. And it was supposed to be kind of like sparkles, but it kind of just added texture, didn't really do much. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me for another video of me talking about my creative process and just saying things. And yeah, I hope y'all have a great day. Hope to see y'all in the next video. Bye.
I'm gonna walk in front of the camera.
You side-eyed the camera.
I did?
Straighten your back.